Hi dear learners. So today, you will start to learn about oral communication in context. So in this subject, you will learn ideas and concepts on how you're going to develop your speaking ability. At the end of the semester, it is expected that you will be more confident, fluent, and spontaneous in speaking the English language. For today's lesson, we will tackle the nature, the process, and the functions of communication. Let us take first the origin of communication. So, communication came from Latin words communicare, which means to share or to be in relation with. And of course, we have communicatio, which means sharing or imparting. From these two Latin words came the definition of communication, which is the process of sharing and exchanging ideas, knowledge, and experiences between and among people. Okay, the next one is the nature of communication. First, communication is a process which involves two or more people using written and spoken words, non-verbal elements such as actions, gestures, and symbols. So when we talk about communication as a process, it involves steps, okay? And when we talk about two or more people, that is why we need or we have rather the dyad, the small group communication, and of course we also have the public communication. When we say written, of course, when we try to write our responses in group chats, that is an example. Apart from that, when we try to answer phone calls, that is an example already of spoken words. And when we talk about non-verbal elements, for example, when we are watching K-dramas, we interpret the message of actors and actresses through their actions, facial expressions, gestures, and sign languages that they are using. The second nature is communication is a message understood. So if we are the sender, we have to make it sure that the message we deliver is very clear so that it can be understood well by the receiver. Because the tendency when we try to make messages that are not clear, it can be misunderstood. Therefore, miscommunication happens. So as much as possible, when we try to convey messages, they should be clear so that communication can be effective. The third nature is communication is social interaction. We are social being, therefore we communicate with each other. We use communication to live well and to survive, especially in these trying times. So apart from face-to-face interaction, due to pandemic, we are not allowed to go out. Therefore, we use different online platforms to communicate to our loved ones, to our relatives, and to our friends. So we use Facebook, we use Twitter, we use Messenger to be able to socially interact with each other. Now, let us proceed to the different elements of communication. First, we have the sender. It is the person who initiates the process. So, the sender can also be called as the speaker or the source. The second is message. It is the idea or content that the speaker wishes to transmit. Next is encoding. Encoding is the process of converting the idea into words or actions. Next is the medium or the channel. It is the tool used in delivering the message. Next is decoding, the process of interpreting the transmitted message. Next one is receiver. It is the person who receives and decodes the message. And receiver can also be called as the listener and the destination of the message. Next is feedback. It is the response of the receiver. And lastly is the barrier. It is the factor that can disturb or hinder the process of communication. So the next is the process of communication. So in this cycle, I included the 5 basic elements of communication that interact with each other. So the first is sender. For example, I am the sender because I am giving you a lecture or discussion about the process of communication. Okay, so I am the sender, the giver of the message. Next is the message. The message is the information or ideas that I am sharing with you about the process of communication. Next is the channel. The channel is, of course, the language that I am using. And apart from that, I am having a video which you are watching. Therefore, video also is included as our channel. Next one is the receiver. You are the receiver because you are the one listening to my lecture. Okay, you are the recipient of the message. And the next one is feedback. When I say feedback, that is the response given by the receiver. So after watching this video, you will be giving your feedback or your response or your reaction about our lesson. Therefore, that is the 5th element of communication. So what we are doing right now is what we call a process of communication. So the last one is the function of communication. Okay, the first one is to inform. Example of which is the teacher is giving a lecture to her students. Okay, so that is an example of function of communication, to inform. Next one is to motivate or persuade. When we listen to advertisement, that is an example already. Okay, next one is to express. When we try to sing a song, we try to express our emotion. When we try to write poem, okay, apart from that, when we try to narrate our feelings or our experiences to our friends, that is to express. Okay, next one is to interact. So this is the very basic function of communication. We communicate to interact with each other because we are social being. When we try to talk to our friends, talk to our parents, talk to our siblings, that is interaction. And then the last one is to control or to regulate. When we follow guidelines, we abide by the different laws, especially the health protocols regarding the COVID-19, that is what we call to control or to regulate as a function of communication.